what the inevitable lifespan of the series will be, one that has to be fluid to a certain degree, and there has to be a certain amount of flexibility because you don't know the amount of time that you're going to have to tell your story, and therefore how many misdirects there may be, or how circuitous your route is going to be to get to your end game. Is unclear without knowing, going from first season to the second season. If you have one more year to tell your story is certainly going to be told in a much simpler fashion than it will be if you're going to be doing it in 7 years, or 6 years, or whatever we're required at this point. I don't know how long we all signed for, but.
Well, I think we noticed that number 162 has been mentioned on the Blacklist, so if you are numbering every episode, that leads you up through at least 7 seasons. So
is that the highest number we have so far?
I think that is, right around 162, so 7 seasons, that's... NBC executives in the audience appreciate that.
As a caveat, I will say that Reddington's one thing he's terrible at is arithmetic, so there needs to be some serious gaps in the math there.
Exactly. Well, for the Johns, I mean, talk about the central mystery that you tease and you're constantly teasing. When will we find out the truth about Red and Lizzie and whether or not he's the father? Yeah. Let's put it on the table. Let's ask her right now. Will we find out? You don't have to tell us whether he is or not, but will we find out?
Someone's calling for you.
You've been doing a fine job answering.
Well, what did they say? 162 goes to season 7 now?
Yeah, we'll talk about 163.
Yeah, 163.
But how important is that mystery? And I mean, you've given us so many hints, and it almost seems too obvious now. So those could be misdirects.
I mean, that question is central. The question of who is Raymond Reddington to Elizabeth Keene is central to the conceit of the show, and so I think that is something that we will continue to answer and we will continue to explore, and it will always, I hope, be a really key part of the show. But it's certainly not something we're going to be answering at the season cliffhanger of this.
You guys really want to know? You don't want to know. You want to guess that.
Do you guys want to know? Yeah. All right. You shouldn't have asked that, John. You should not have asked that.
No, I think one of the things that's interesting about the show and the way, and you started to see it in this past season, but it continues, and that is that ultimately the relationship in the past, whatever that relationship is between Elizabeth Keene and Raymond Reddington, is not the most significant question to be answered, because really what the show is about is their relationship, and it creeps up on you. But what is the nature of their relationship now? I mean, when you have two people who have never met, and or not knowingly, at least, and you don't know the nature of their relationship, and suddenly they're thrown together in the way that these two characters have. Ultimately, what I think can sneak up on you is that the relationship that is the most compelling is not the answer to that one question. The most compelling relationship is in fact, what it's turning into and what the nature of that relationship is now and what it will be building over the next few years. We've already seen in the first season them very fractured at times, and yet there's some sort of compulsion that they have for one another, and not just Reddington's feelings for her, but also her feelings for him. And to me, that's one of the most fascinating, besides the sort of fun to be had with the show, in terms of the emotional center of the show. I think one of the things that's most satisfying to me is to see the ways that Elizabeth Keene, this man who has brought nothing but, fire and brimstone and, danger and peril into her life, for some reason she's enormously compelled by him. And even if it